When I first started this YouTube channel, I asked in a Women in Tech group on Facebook about what they wished that they had learned before they started their first job, as a way for me to get topic and channel inspiration. But the answers that they gave are so good that I just had to compile everything into some broad categories and learnings so that we all can help each other avoid some mistakes and get a little bit better and be a little bit more prepared for our first job. The learnings are divided into communication, relationships, expectations, self-esteem and courage, and skills. Remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel. It lets YouTube know that my content is worth watching and that you enjoy it. So the first thing about communication is to not be afraid to ask questions, don't be afraid to look stupid, and make sure to ask your colleagues if there's something that you don't know or are wondering about in general. And when you do this, make sure that you ask questions for things that you don't understand, but always make sure to come up with your own suggestions. So for example, you might not know how to run a project, but you could come up with your own suggestion and ask a colleague about it. Hey, I didn't quite get this part. I'm thinking that we could do this and this and this. What do you think about it? And then your colleague or boss or whoever you're asking, they're gonna come with their input on your suggestion. That way you can make sure that you learn if there's something that you don't understand and ask those questions, but you can still show that you're driven and want to come up with solutions, because that's the thing that we most dread, that we are gonna feel needy or something like that. But if you come up with your own suggestions when you're asking questions, that's gonna help a lot. The second thing that people can be quite afraid of in the beginning when they start their first job or start their new job is to share their opinion. But the thing is, people are not mind readers and they won't know what you think. You're there because you have something to contribute with, and you should share that knowledge. You should share your thoughts and your opinions. So don't keep it in if you think that someone is making a mistake or you're going the wrong direction or something like that. A skill that a lot of people thought had been really useful to know before they started the new job is to learn how to give and receive feedback. There are a lot of courses out there on this, but the simplest way is to use a method called start, stop, and continue, which is, in the simplest way, what should the person start doing, stop doing, and continue doing. Both good things and more constructive feedback. And this can go both ways. It's a really simple template to use. Just because a person is more senior than you doesn't mean that they are above you in any kind of way. In the beginning, you can seem quite terrified or intimidated by people around you that have a lot of experience. But the thing is, they probably learn almost as much from you as you do from them. A lot of the comments I saw was that really senior people thought that, well, the younger people, they come with such drive and motivation and new methods and skills, so I learned so much from them. And also, if you have someone that is super senior and super junior, imagine what you can do together. You have so different experiences and skills, and combining that, it's just gonna make something really awesome. Connected to this, you should also believe in your own skills, your own experience, in your own self-worth, because you are there for a reason. Another thing that is really important to know is the importance of relationships during both your study time and during your professional life. Because what is driving you forward is only partly you, and the other part is the people that you have around you. And those relationships is going to be really important further on in your professional life. An old colleague to you could be the one giving you your next job or next assignment, or if you're starting your own company, they could be your first client. So having those relationships and nurturing them is gonna help you further on in your career. Okay, so expectations. You're not expected to know everything when you start your first job. All your colleagues around you know that you're new at this job and don't expect you to know everything. Even if you're hired for a reason, they know that you're new at this job and everything that that entails. And especially if you're new from school and this is your first job, everyone knows that you're new and you have passion and energy and want to learn, and they are probably so willing to teach you all of that, and you learn as you go. Complex issues takes time to solve. It's pretty normal to have the wrong assumptions or doing something wrong when you're faced with a hard or difficult or complex problem. And you need to know that they are hard and complex for a reason, and it's probably not gonna go as fast as you wish in solving that problem. What you have to do is to do over and try to do it a little bit better every iteration that you're working on with this problem. That's how you build experience and understanding of the things you have around you. And those things, they take time. knowing what imposter syndrome is. And very quickly explained, imposter syndrome is the feeling that you don't belong in that place and that someone is soon going to figure out that you're a fraud. And this is a really common feeling for people in their work life, because you're always gonna have things that you don't know, that you don't understand, that you're probably supposed to know. And that's okay, because all people feel this way sometime. And often when you take a big step in your career, you're definitely gonna feel this way. Like, oh my god, why did they hire me? Soon they're gonna find out that I can't do this, I'm not good enough, I'm a fraud. That's just simply not true. If someone else chooses to believe in you, you should also choose to believe in you. And this is a really common issue that a lot of people experience, so you don't have to be alone in all of that. Figure out what you want. Don't follow a career path that someone else has set up for you. You need to figure out what you want, what you wish for, how you want to live your life, and then take action based on that. Career is nothing that is above all of us. It's something that you choose for yourself. So don't choose to follow everyone else just because it seems nice. Figure out what you want. There was this woman who commented that you should live a stripy life, which I just think is amazing. So what she meant with that is basically that you shouldn't just hustle and hustle and hustle. You should make sure to take breaks. Don't push things on the future to take a break. Do it now, because if you're thinking that way, you're probably never gonna be able to take a break. So make sure to take a break in the day, make sure to have your lunch break, have vacation, take your breaks, because that is what's gonna give you the energy to do a good job when you're at work. Have the courage to apply for too difficult jobs. Especially women are hesitant to apply for a job if they don't meet all of the criteria. But the thing is, people who write the job ads, they have no clue what they're looking for. In the 9 cases out of 10, they don't know what they're looking for, and they're just making things up that they think is gonna suit the position. So take the step and apply for that job that seems too difficult, because the worst thing that can happen is that you get a no, and the best thing that can happen is that you can take a big career step, maybe up your salary quite a bit, and have someone to believe in you to take on more responsibility. And as I said previously in this video, if someone else believes in you, you should believe in you too. So at least try. Be yourself, have fun at work, and if you don't have fun, change jobs. No one is gonna thank a person who is getting burned out because they are putting too much effort into work and not taking those breaks. No one is irreplaceable, so make sure to find out what stresses you out and do something about it before it's too late. You don't want to end up burned out, because that can have implications for life. So make sure to find your own balance in working hard and achieving what you want, and taking breaks and having a good time. Work should be fun for the most part, and if it isn't, maybe it's time to do something else. The most important skills that the businesswoman thought that you should have is, first of all, learning to say no and delegate. Keep your to-dos and work activities in check so that you know what you have time to complete and what is actually important. And if you don't have time, or it's something that's not important, learn to say no about that. Or in the simplest form, learn to not say yes. When you hear that awkward silence after someone says, "Who can do this?" don't be the first person to raise your hand. It can be as simple as that. But in general, try to learn to say no and delegate things to others. The second skill is very closely related, and that is prioritizing. So learn to prioritize your tasks and prioritize up things that are important and prioritize down things that are not important. And it might seem simple, but it's harder than it looks, because a lot of urgent things come in and you have to complete things that you don't think it is important, but someone else thinks it's important, and it's a fine balance. You can, for example, use the Eisenhower matrix or get help from your manager or a senior colleague in order to help you prioritize. The third skill is not surprising, and it's salary negotiation. I'm not an expert at this myself, but the recommendations that the businesswoman had is to use online lists about salaries. You can probably Google a lot of things about the salaries, because you're not the only one who's wondering. Remember that your manager is never going to be your friend, they are your manager. So make sure to aim really high for your salary and negotiate hard with them, because you have a value and they should pay you for that value. And remember that the negotiation is not only about the salary. You can also negotiate about vacation days, education, retirement, and a lot of other things. So make sure to include those also in your negotiations. Learn to be good enough. Perfect doesn't exist. And if you're gonna make something perfect, you're gonna spend a lot of time on it, and that's not well spent time. Good enough is a lot better than perfect. It makes sure that you spend a reasonable amount of time on the task and get a decent result, and it's taking you forward in your work. So try to dial down on your perfectionism and dial up your good enoughist. I hope you learned just as much as I did from this. If you're still wondering about what expectations your boss might have on your first job or your new job, you can check out this video. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next week.